Hello, everybody. How are we on this Friday evening? I'm so happy to be here. Let me see who's in this Zoom room. We've got 14. Some names I recognize and some I don't. So nice to meet you. For those of you who have never been here in a Zoom workshop with me, my name is Alicia. I've been a model since 2016 and I have about 8 different workshops that I teach with 99. I've been teaching since 2019. 2020. Yeah, 2020. And it's just basically all the information that I wish I had when I was first starting out. So, this workshop tonight is actually the first workshop when I was given this opportunity. It's the first workshop that came to mind when I said, what do I want beginners to know? That I wish that I knew. And it's kind of the art of staying creatively engaged and staying inspired as we navigate our way through this industry. At one point or another, you will need that inspiration to pick you up and keep you going. So that is basically tonight is like a powwow, all of us together. We're going to help you discover your why. I think that's a really important aspect of our career. Now, before we get started, I like to just wait until about 5 after. So the next 4 minutes is for you guys to find the Q&A section and let me know where you're tuning in from, how long you've been with 99, if you're a model, if you're an actor, and what you're hoping, I guess, to learn tonight, or maybe why you felt compelled to show up to this workshop. And then there's another feature in this Zoom chat. It's the raise hand feature. So if I am meeting you for the first time, I would love for you to raise your hand so I can say hello. Hello, hello. We've got Belinda and Marianne. Amazing. It's very nice to meet you guys and to be here with you. So the way that the Zoom works, if you've never been in one of these before, I don't get to see your face. I wish I did, but I don't get to see your face. It's kind of set up like a webinar. So you guys are off the hook. I encourage you to get a notepad and a piece of notepad and a pencil if you are a note taker. But please know that you can always come back to these workshops as like a refresher. And that being said, as I continue to navigate my journey in the modeling industry, I'm always coming back to my workshops and updating information because I learn as I go as well. I encourage you to grab a drink because, as models and actors who have to be ready to be on camera, hydration is super important for us to function. So, I've got my sparkling water here and some exciting news for you guys. I have an early morning flight tomorrow to Los Angeles. I booked a job and I'll be flying to LA tomorrow for the fitting. And then next week, I'll be flying to Austin, Texas. And I'm really excited. And it's not going to interfere with any of my workshops, so that's really great news. I'm able to see you guys again next week on Thursday and Saturday, and then the following week, Monday and Tuesday. So, again, if you're just joining, my name is Alicia. I've been with 99 since 2020. It's my greatest honor, honestly, to be here with you guys and go through these motivational and these educational workshops. It's a great resource for you guys because there's a lot that people can't teach you, and there's a lot that you have to figure out on your own. So, one thing I figured out early on is how to keep myself inspired to keep going because it's a tough industry. It's competitive. Um, for me, I know I'm sharing with you guys that I just booked a job, but the previous job that I booked was in March. So it's been a couple months for me. I'm going through a lot of changes in my career. But I can tell you it's a wonderful industry to be in. So if you are here, give yourself a big round of applause. Sorry. How to have a great self-tape using teleprompters, says Shannon. I'm doing a self-tape workshop on Tuesday, the 18th, and that also includes digital. So I'm going to make a little note. I haven't really, about the teleprompters, I haven't really navigated needing a teleprompter, but I do have a lot of tips and tricks in that workshop to help you be able to read lines aloud naturally and professionally. That's what we want to look like. Above all, is professionals, even though we might be newbies, right? So it is possible. So tonight's workshop. Let us begin the motivational powwow. My goal for you guys is to leave tonight's workshop feeling invigorated, feeling renewed, feeling refreshed in your career path here. But first, since tonight's workshop is called Staying Inspired, and you guys all signed up knowing that that was the topic of the workshop, I'm really curious to hear what your definition of inspiration is. And then noting that, what was the last thing that inspired you to keep pursuing modeling and acting? I am interested to hear your responses. So, a couple of you guys are in the chat. It's hard for me to check both of them simultaneously. I usually go to the Q&A section. So if you guys can find that, that's where I'll be reading all of your responses aloud. Ooh, heading to Miami. Amazing. I forgot to tell you guys, I'm tuning in from South Florida. I'm originally from Connecticut. I got my start modeling in New York City. They don't play around up there in New York City, that's for sure. All right, does anybody have any definitions for inspiration? Let me hear them. Kai, you're always participation A plus award. A spark of motivation. Yes. And a spark is definitely foreshadowing for how I'm going to define inspiration for you guys because when it was defined for me in this specific way, I never thought of inspiration the same way again. So, spark, you are right on the money. Hello, Ashley. She says a person, place, or thing that gives you the momentum to keep moving forward. Absolutely. We need momentum in our career. We need sustainability. We need something to fall back on. So I think that inspiration for sure can give you that to keep you moving forward, almost kind of like a foundation, if you will. I appreciate the responses. Keep them coming, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. Trying to think of the last thing that inspired me to keep pursuing modeling and acting. Honestly, I think this job that I just booked, because I had gotten a self-tape request, and I remember telling my mom, I got to go home. I was like very busy that day. I said, I've got to go home. My agent sent me this self-tape request. I got to go. And I put it together in about maybe 30 minutes out of my day, and I didn't think too much about it. And then I got a call back, and then I got the booking. So it's really helped me achieve this sense of like, I'm gonna work again. Because I was worried there for a couple months, you know? But that's just the way the industry goes. And that's why we're having this chat because sometimes we work when we're super busy, and other times we keep hearing no, and we keep hearing no, and we keep hearing no. So, really important to find your inspiration, find your motivation, and stay creatively engaged. So, this is kind of the way that I define inspiration. When I look it up right off the rip, it's not, doesn't say any of what we had just talked about. It simply just says to give rise to, and it's a verb. So it means it's an action to inspire. And then if you take it back, if you guys study language at all, it all goes back to the Latin root, the English language. And it goes to inspirare, and that means to inflame or blow into. So you guys getting the spark reference, the flames that I have up on this presentation tonight. So I want you guys to think of inspiration as literally a burning fire that you are responsible to not let it go out. Think about being around a campfire and how you have to keep feeding the flame for it to serve its purpose, which might be to keep you warm, give you light, cook some food. Fire is a very important element, and we need that in this career path to keep us walking and keep us straight on our path and give us the momentum that Ashley mentioned. I love this quote. It's wise to always desire something, to keep something of a flame and energy to one's life and heart. So, when we think about inspiration, we're always going to think about flames, right? Keeping it burning, keeping it bright. And you think about how quickly fire can spread too. It's like that is the snowball effect of inspiring others or being inspired. It's something that you can feel. Again, it's giving a rise to you. So think about every cell in your body is starting to react to the warmth of the fire. And that is the creative passion that we need to keep going in this industry. I read or I listened to a podcast recently, and it was Coco Rocha. She's like one amazing supermodel. And she said that on average, there was this a statistic that models and actors are told no 63 times before they hear their first yes. So I always think back to my very first year of modeling, where I was taking the train from Connecticut to New York. You know, we're lucky these days because we can submit to jobs online, and have all of our materials submitted online. But back in the day, you had to go, you had to show up, you had to look your competition in the face, and you might have had to stand in line, and you would see in real time the reaction of the casting directors and their impression of you as they look through your book or as you try on the clothes. And you could really just feel whether it was a yes or a no. And sometimes it was excruciating. And I would go back on the train home and I'd be like, why am I doing this? This is hard. This is embarrassing that I'm struggling. So you go through all of those motions in the beginning, but if you keep showing up, that's if you know me and you know my workshops, I'm always going to tell you guys that half the battle is won when you just keep showing up. So I really would like to take this time to get inspired by one another's journey. So if there is anything on this bullet list that you would like to share with the group, please do, because again, we are all here to inspire each other and motivate each other to keep going. A small win for me that led to bigger things. I can remember modeling through COVID, through 2020, and I didn't know if production was ever going to be a thing again, but I had booked a job, and when I was on set, we took a selfie together, me and the stylist, and we posted it on Instagram. And then another brand that works with that stylist saw me and her together and picked me up for one of their jobs. So that was like a very small win at the time to have a job, but then it led to a bigger job for sure. And then moments that you almost gave up, they are a lot. For me, I remember when I was moving away from Connecticut and relocating to South Florida, a lot of people would say, don't you think you should be close to New York if you want to be modeling? And I thought maybe, but I kind of just pushed through, and kept showing up. And when I moved down to South Florida, I had a lot of career opportunities come up for me. This is a picture of me at my very first agency where I got my very first contract. That probably about, I would say, a year after of I quit my job, I started waitressing nights and weekends so I could be available during the day again because you had to show up for these castings. And I was never going to be able to get there if I was clocked in at my desk job. And so I kind of rearranged everything. And then they had called me into the city and they dropped me, they released me from my contract. And I'll never forget, they said, "Hey, we sent you on 80 castings this whole year, and out of all the 80 castings, you only booked 5 jobs." And so this is kind of where my inspiration comes from when I talk a lot about mindset shifts, which we have a workshop on the power of mindset coming up in this business, where I said 5 jobs for a beginner who's sacrificed a lot to be here for me is really good. Maybe it's not good for you, but it's really good for me. So I pushed through and I ended up, being able to stay locked in and dialed into this career for the past 10 years. This was a really cool moment as well. This was right before I was about to move to Florida. I had been dropped from my agency and I wasn't sure what was next. And all of a sudden, my Target ad came out, and it was the first time that I had ever seen myself in print in underwear, nonetheless, which was a very terrifying experience as a model, and you have to show up and be vulnerable in front of a room of people and then get your picture out there for the world to see. But that was a very big, proud moment for me to work for a brand like Target. I never thought that I would get to work for a brand like Target, but this really pushed me to keep going. So when you look for those moments, they really truly help give you that inspiration to go forward. So I want you guys to stay dialed in on all of the small wins, all of the little shifts in the progress that you're making, no matter what anybody says or how anybody is looking at your career trajectory. I want it to come from you, that inspiration. And when we think about success, this is another mindset shift. You might think it comes from, making a lot of money or booking a lot of jobs or having a bunch of following on social media or a bunch of brands who want to work with you. And I'm here to tell you that that doesn't always necessarily mean success. A lot of models who are successful in this industry and actors, they can walk down the street in total obscurity and nobody knows that they are a successful model because they're working, they're making an income, and they're loving what they do. So I've tried to, for myself and my inspiration, to keep it going, to keep my fire going, right, is to describe success in a different way. If I'm dedicated and I'm giving relentless effort, I'm successful. If I have longevity and integrity in my work, I'm successful. If I'm still grounded and humble, I am successful. If I love what I do and not just the recognition, I am successful. And then to think about how is it achieved? So how do we achieve this quote unquote success? I did some research on some people who have talked about the path forward in feeling successful and fulfilled in your career. And they kind of boiled it down to a little equation, which I, again, will never forget. That 80% of their success comes from this idea of why. And only 20% is how. So when we think of the how, we're thinking of like showing up here, signing up with 99, implementing our skills, training, networking, auditioning. Those are all the strategy, the action, the tools, skills, execution. And you'd be surprised, or at least I was, that only 20% of that is going to get you a forward momentum in your career. Most of it is going to be the why. And this is going to give you that fuel, that momentum that was mentioned to keep going. And that is always going to be first and foremost in your mindset. That's why I teach a lot about mindset. It's really changed my relationship with the industry when I realized that I could shift my mind into more empowering thoughts that are going to help me move forward and have a better attitude. Purpose and goals, having a clear understanding of the why behind your actions. So, why are you guys here tonight? I asked you guys that in the beginning. Really think about it. We're going to go over that in our next activity. And then growth and improvement. So your ability to grow, to look back, like I look back from when I started in 2016 to where I am now in 2026, I've grown so much. I've improved so much. Even this opportunity that I got to start teaching with 9-9, I started in 2020, fast forward 6 years, and I've pushed myself beyond what I thought was possible in terms of public speaking and being able to help inspire and motivate others. So always think about that equation that 20% is only the how, and most of it starts up in here. So please share or reflect in the Q&A, why do you want to break into this industry? And the reason why knowing our why is so important, because we're always going to be able to fall back on that when, let's say, we audition for a job that we really wanted, we get a call back, and maybe they option you and they go with somebody else. That is the behind the scenes thing of this industry that a lot of people don't see. They don't see how many opportunities you went for that just were not delivered to your doorstep. But in my mindset workshop, I always teach that rejection is redirection. And instead of auditioning to please and try to be the person for the role, we need to start auditioning as if we're looking for alignment, the right crew, the right projects, maybe the values behind the brand that you're working for. And so when I look back on all of the jobs that I've booked in the past, they all feel pretty much aligned and they've helped me move forward in some way, shape, or form. So, to know your why is going to help you. And that again is that 80% is knowing our why. It's going to keep you inspired, keep the flame burning. And each time you feel like giving up and you say, oh, I'm in over my head, or I'm not blank enough, I'm not blank enough, or I haven't done this enough and I need more practice, maybe I'll just give up for now. Remembering your why is definitely going to pull you back into that frequency of being inspired, and it's going to ground you down into your purpose. It's going to give you that direction back and that motivation back to just keep showing up. Okay. So while you guys go over your whys, this is a reality check for you guys because in the beginning, like I said, nobody really broke it down like this for me. So I was going through it without a why. I just thought that maybe if I got into modeling, I would feel beautiful all the time. I would feel glamorous. And as somebody who had a little bit of a confidence issue, I guess, or I just wasn't dialed into my personal meaning of confidence, I thought that it was going to come from my career or something outside of me. And I quickly learned that the reality check is exactly why people give up. Rejection is constant. Comparison is real. When you are befriending other people in your niche, in your industry, social media had just been popping off. So I saw a lot of models getting great opportunities, and I was wondering why I wasn't getting them. Gigs can be sparse. Some years are better than others. And then success is not linear. It has a tendency to go up and down, and it doesn't constantly grow like this. So let me see who we've got in the chat. My future generations can be financially free and don't have to struggle like I did. Absolutely. Watching Michael White and Scott Adkins act is definitely your inspiration. Love that. Breaking into this industry for plus size models. Go girl, showing confidence, beauty, and strength. Yeah, I had popped right into the industry around the plus size revolution, the body positivity, and it's really kind of weird to see how this industry, the trends change. Because right now I'm having trouble booking work because the curve models and the plus models are not as much in demand as they used to be. So again, success is not linear. So right now I feel like I could give up. I've put 10 years in and I could keep mentoring and teaching and be completely fulfilled. But I'm going to give it another 10. I'm going to try to stick with 20 years and I'm going to try to freshen up on my acting skills and see what else I can make happen. But my why, the reason why I can't allow myself to give up, that why is going to be your passion. The passion is the deep, sustaining inner drive towards something that feels meaningful to you, right? We all want our career to feel meaningful, to feel like we are doing something of service. So I love being of service. So, thinking about how my career could be of service when you work in the fashion industry or you are an actor and you play certain roles, you have the ability to make people feel seen, to make people feel even beautiful or connected to some larger theme. And then we all have this ability of expression. So, thinking back to my specific journey, I've always been really shy in class to raise my hand, to speak up. Anytime I had to do public speaking, I was shaking in my boots. But I really want to explore that expression and my creative abilities, my creative expression. And I want to develop unshakable confidence and inspire others to do the same. So I used to think that my modeling career would kind of take off once I became confident. But I realized that modeling is only the vehicle that helps you become confident. So that's why I love this industry. I love what I do because I feel like every time I book a job or come off of a set, I've become more capable. And to me, confidence is defined as capability. Every time you prove to yourself that you can show up and come out on the other side alive, or having learned something, having strengthened something, or improved in some way, then you are building your confidence. It has nothing to do with what you look like or how you perform, or how sustainable or how many jobs you book. It has everything to do with that relationship with yourself, that inner trust. So, it's a huge theme of mine that I've been exploring is confidence, and I think it's worth a discussion. Some other ways to stay inspired for you guys, other than knowing your why. We're going to talk about the top and the bottom. That's why they have a star. So we're going to talk about vision boards and expanders. But for the rest of the list, I guess that's like a little sandwich here. We got the bread and then all the stuffing in the middle is to maintain trust in the process. Always trusting that something is on its way. There is something coming for you that's meant for you. If you do not get a job, trust that it was just not meant to be. A lot of people in this industry always like to tell you, trust the process, trust the process. I think it's really overall just trust who you are becoming in the process as you are going after your dreams and going after these roles and putting yourself out there. That is the trust that builds the confidence. Keep showing up. Like I said, literally half the battle is won by showing up. Whether you get the job or you don't get the job, maybe you met people, maybe you entered a big room, maybe you worked on your presence, on your energy. That is all wins in the process of showing up. Acknowledging your support team. I probably would not be here if I didn't have my closest allies clapping for me, telling me that I inspire them, that I motivate them, or just wishing me well, or telling me that I can do it, that I'm a good model, that I'm a good person, that I deserve all the great things. So if you have a support team like that in your life, acknowledge them and give them some credit because we all need cheerleaders. Take care of yourself mentally and physically. This is something that I've really enjoyed doing about the maybe the last 5 years. I never really was into physical fitness. I hated going to the gym. I also had a lot of work to do mentally. I mentioned a little bit about my mindset shifts that really help me and empower me. But as soon as I kind of took care, I think it kind of popped off around like 2020 when I was stuck at home and figuring out what the rest of my life was going to look like. I tapped into some strength where I realized that my modeling and my acting has a lot to do with my connection to myself. And so, one way that I found to really be connected to myself and have that grounded energy that magnetizes people to want to work with you is to work on yourself mentally and physically. I love my yoga practice. I love lifting weights. I love feeling strong. I love journaling. I love taking stock of lessons I've learned when I go back in entries of my journal. I love documenting my gratitude on my Instagram, on my social media, and really helping propel that mental strength forward. I think they kind of coincide too. So, I would not be the model I am if I hadn't done that work, and it is available to all of us. Honor where you came from, your story. This is part of being authentic. People can feel that when you walk in a room and they want to work with you, when they feel like you are authentically yourself. So, honoring your story and where you came from, your setbacks, your struggles, all of that really help you ground into that authentic energy and not having to really pretend to be somebody that you're not. If you maybe think that that's going to get you more work or that's going to make you a better actress or more professional, really all you need to be is exactly who you are and know exactly who you are. And I think that models and actors don't get enough credit because it's really hard to walk in and audition because they're assessing your strength in acting, sure, but they're also reading you like a book. And that comes in with our energy and mastering our energy and having that authenticity and that confidence in our presence. So that's what I've really learned, that there is a whole energetics about modeling and acting too when we show up and we try to book work. And then again, I mentioned this earlier, but learning to see rejection as a redirection. Never take it personal. It's not personal. Literally, the role could have changed, or sometimes when you audition, they ask for your height. So let's say you were auditioning for a hero role in a commercial, but there's two heroes, and the hero that booked the other part is 5'6", and you are 6'5". So that's not going to work, right? So sometimes they just have no other choice, or maybe they wanted a brunette, but then they went with a different vision. Maybe they wanted an older character, but then they went with a younger character. Behind the scenes production, things can change at a drop of a dime, so never take it personally. Be proud of yourself and just see it as a redirection to where you are meant to go. Vision boards. I told you guys we would talk about this. Raise your hand if you have ever heard or created a vision board in your life. We've got 3 raised hands out of 20 people. We've got 5 raised hands. 7, 8. Okay, great. This is wonderful. I can remember making a vision board in college at some point and having to present it to the class, and that's kind of when it first came to my understanding. But really, all you need is a bunch of magazines. I used to work at a hair salon as a receptionist, and so when she would throw away the magazines, I would take them home, I would stack them up, and once a year, around the beginning of the year, I would make a vision board. Now, these workshops help me as well because I recently moved back in March and I just realized I don't have a vision board in my new home. So, gather your closest friends, have them all bring 4 or 5 magazines, plan a vision board party, and make it and put it up somewhere where you can see it in your home, on your fridge. It's basically a roadmap for how you envision your best life. So when you look through a magazine, different images, different words are going to call to you. And the idea behind vision boards, and there is studies that it does help you stay creatively engaged and inspired to live your best life. when you can see it every day. It's like your brain's reminder of what you are seeking out of this precious life that we have, because sometimes we get into a routine of the mundane where we go to work, we come home, we clean the house, we do laundry, we go grocery shopping, blah, 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 blah. And so we need to have this vision board as a reminder to ourselves. So it's an exercise of self-discovery. It might even just help you realize what you want out of your best life. My favorite vision board story is me cutting out this Free People ad, and she was looking back at a beach, and I just loved her gaze, and she had a headband on and her hair was tousled up, messy. And I still remember this image because when I got my photos back from this test shoot that I did in Sarasota, I swear the image that we were able to produce looked exactly like this one. And it hadn't even really been on my mind. I had never shown it to my photographer. I think just by having it in my subconscious, and it was crazy how it kind of came to be because I don't wear headbands, but I styled myself for that shoot. My sister was visiting. She brought a headband. I threw it on. I threw my hair up. And they say that things come true off your vision board. So here is a couple examples of what a vision board looks like. And it's just, again, a way to stay tapped into that creative flow, to that inspiration that's really going to help us move forward and just crush our goals and also carry the energy with us that we are inspired and that we're living our best life. Expanders. This is something that I learned from Ashley Graham. She is a model that kicked off the plus size body positivity, but that was back in 2016. I think she was maybe 29 at the time when her career took off. She had been modeling since she was 13, so there was a lot of groundwork that came before her big break, I guess you could call it. But she wrote a book, she gives TED Talks, she inspires tons of women, and this idea of expanders came from her. And she said that she would be nowhere in her career without her expanders. So when she was trying to write a book, she had authors as her expanders. So these are people who have created or achieved something in their life that you also desire. Let's say, hopefully, maybe you can relate to them in some way. And a good clue to find your expanders is if you find yourself looking at them and thinking, wow, I wish I could do that. So currently, I'm trying to launch a business and a brand. And so I have expanders in my life, and sometimes they're just everyday people. They don't have to be famous. My friend from home started a book pop-up, and she's posting on social media and she's creating an income for herself based on what she loves to do. And so she is an expander for me. So once you've found your expanders, it's important to kind of take stock and say, okay, so what characteristics are they embodying? Confidence, fearlessness, creativity. And then what do you think that they believe about themselves? They can do it. They can be successful. They deserve it. And then if you identify the gaps between you and them, this is going to give you clues of the shifts that you can make to kind of step into that life as well. So what I really love about the modeling world is that there's so much imagery all around. And these images can serve as inspiration as well. So I remember looking at this photo of Ashley Graham in the purple bathing suit and saying, I have got to get on the beach in a swimsuit. And it was at the time like my worst fear. And I was nervous about how the pictures were going to come out, how I was going to look, etc., etc. All the motions of self-doubt that humans go through. But Ashley has a mantra that she shares. I am bold, I am beautiful, I am brilliant. And so I need to also step into my own mantra. And I for sure got out on the beach and did it. And I've been doing beach shoots ever since and updating my portfolio. with swimwear because down here in South Florida, I really want to book swimwear campaigns, would be awesome. Imagine booking a swimwear campaign that was shooting in like Fiji or the Bahamas or somewhere tropical. But yeah, the idea is that they help you expand your dimensions of what you think is possible. It makes it expand, and you say, okay, if they can do it, I can also do it. And so I encourage you to pick out like 5 expanders for yourself and realize that when you see somebody, like maybe they're a famous actor or you go to see a play and you love the way this actor is embodying stage presence and confidence and you admire that about them, or maybe you just have a close friend or a family member or a neighbor or a coworker, when you feel that admiration, the idea behind the expanders is that that feeling is you recognizing aspects of yourself that you have yet to integrate. And so that inspiration from them is your invitation to grow into those qualities. So find your expanders and expand what you think is possible. Here's another idea. When I do photo shoots, I'm always looking for expanders to help me see what is possible. And then I learn a little bit about the model. This is Joan Smalls and her values and what she embodies. The beauty of a woman is not in a facial mode, but the true beauty in a woman is reflected in her soul. This is another one, Nina Agdal. You can't really fake confidence. Just be confident in who you are when you walk into a room. Feel like you own it. Oh, yeah. Okay, so how can you expand? Vision boards, um, expanders, and then commit to action and staying engaged. So by you being here, you're expanding. And that's what it takes, right? To stay creatively engaged, to keep your fire burning, to stay inspired. Plan photo shoots. Message photographers on Instagram. Stay in that networking opportunity. Plan photo shoots. Save photo shoot inspiration. Practice your connection to the camera. Get a tripod. Practice taking digitals at home. Um, Practice your camera presence, your stage presence. Attend or submit to every casting you can. I got sent a Mucinex opportunity. And it was a lot of lines to have to learn in a short amount of time for a self-tape. But I would encourage you guys, if you get the opportunity, just submit because you never know if that casting, maybe that project's not right for you, but maybe the casting company behind it has a better role for you. So I wish sometimes there were things that I wouldn't have said no to. So I don't want you guys to experience that regret. But I encourage you, submit, submit, submit. Stay in the know. Study photographers, directors, listen to podcasts, read interviews about what your expanders are saying, what their values are, their road to success, books. Working with a mentor is huge. And there's a lot of my philosophy is that everybody always knows something that you don't. And what they know might be medicine for you. It might change the whole trajectory. It might expand your mindset. So keep showing up for the classes and set goals. Why not? Set a couple goals. You want to do a professional photo shoot? Do it. You want to build your portfolio? Do it. You want to go in and have a meeting with an agency? Do it. Take those chances. Um, the networking opportunities are huge. Use social media to your advantage. And for those of you, send a little message to your agent at 99 and just say, hey, I just wanted to check in, give them a little update on your life here and there, and ask them if there's anything they need from you. Do you need to update your digitals? Do they have any mood board inspirations for your portfolio? We have an exercise before I let you guys go. This is the Banish Doubt exercise. A lot of human condition is just to experience that doubt. And in the beginning of my career, Lord knows I had so much. I was filled to the brim, head to toe with self-doubt. So when I walked into the room, I feel like people could smell it on me, right? And this is kind of the energetics of modeling and the mastering of your presence that I talk about. That's really important to me. That has helped me become really confident and grounded and walk into rooms differently these days. Um, First, we need to define your doubts and fears. So, if you think about the thoughts in your mind, there are so many of them that run on autopilot all day, and they call the shots. Where you say, okay, I can't submit to that Mucinex thing because I'm not good at acting or I don't have the time. And what would people think if I was in a Mucinex commercial with a big slobbery booger somewhere showing up, right? So, the idea behind this step one of the exercise is that I need you guys to pay attention. And that takes some awareness when you have to figure out what exactly is your mind telling you. Okay. So when they creep in and you catch it like a little fly swatter, you're going to define it and say, okay, well, that's a doubt. That's a fear. That's not true. That's holding me back and that's not serving me. Confront it, essentially. And these are what people with really strong mindsets that last a long time in this industry do. And then they change it. So, what could be a more helpful idea to kick those doubts and fears away? They're going to go head to head. And essentially, this new way of thinking is going to come in and kick that old way of thinking out. So anytime it tries to creep in, it already knows that you have won because you have a better way of thinking. Say, hey, thanks for trying, because essentially it comes from the ego. The ego thinks it's going to try to protect you from shame, embarrassment, rejection, and all of that. So it comes up with these stories, right? But the more empowered way is to say, I would be honored to get this opportunity to act, to play a role, to make a lot of money, to travel, to meet directors for bigger brands. And once you get good at consistently banishing the doubts and the fears, that's where you tap into the energy where you are constantly inspired. Nothing is going to uninspire you more than the own thoughts in your head. Okay, so that's the premise of this. So here's a couple examples. I see two examples for myself right here. Number one being the tattoo. I used to always tell myself, well, I'm never going to audition for swimwear because no one's going to hire me with a tattoo. I made a mistake. I should have never got a tattoo, and now my modeling career is cursed. And I used to think that. But then I shifted into it and I said, they're a part of me. And the right brands that want to work with me are going to see me beyond the tattoo. Another thing is being a plus size model. I always told myself, how I would never be able to work next to straight size models. It's just so funny how they always put us into these little compartments. But I realized instead of thinking, being embarrassed that I take up more space than people, that I'm in a bigger body, I shifted my mindset and said, I am so unique. And that's what this brand is after, is showcasing different types of beauty. We're all beautiful and wonderful, and I need to bring my A game, right? So there I am, front and center, bringing my A game next to two other beautiful women. Staying the course. This is another aspect or mindset that I need you guys to have. Like literally, if you could just think of yourself hiking up a mountain and boiling it down to not the elevation or not the distance, but that you just continue to take one foot in front of the other, right? Because it's a journey. It's not a marathon. And appreciate the views as you continue to do so. There are a few household names on this list that I have researched their stories and got really inspired by, which I encourage you guys to do as well. But Tyra Banks, anybody know her? Raise of hands if you know my girl Tyra. I used to grow up watching America's Next Top Model. She raised me, okay? And would you know that Tyra Banks, as wonderful as we think she is, she also experiences rejection. Zoe Kravitz. Her dad is Lenny Kravitz, famous. She wanted to get into the industry, she wanted to act. And would you imagine for years she kept trying, and didn't book anything until finally her career has popped off. Terry Crews, does anybody know him? He is hilarious. Slept in a car while he was going to auditions and pursuing this. Now, I'm never going to recommend that for you guys, but that was the passion, that was the driving force behind him that he was willing to literally risk it all and to land these major roles. Jim Carrey, this is my favorite story above all. When he was first getting onto the scene of comedy and acting, he took a check from his checkbook and wrote it out to himself for $5 million. dollars. And this is kind of how the vision board works too. He kept it in his wallet. So every day that he opened his wallet, he saw the check. It was fresh in his consciousness. And would you know it, that his very first role that he landed was Dumb and Dumber, and his payout was $5 million. dollars. So that hopefully will give you guys some inspiration. I want to remind you that when you are tapped into this energy and when you are able to inspire yourself, you become magnetic. And think about yourself as a magnet where you're just attracting people who want to work with you. Now, you might have a certain idea of where you want your career to go, but I encourage you to open the box to all opportunities and boil it down to how you walk into a room, how you carry yourself, how you practice your craft, how you connect with others. When you walk into a room and you act like you're amazing, not in a conceited way. I think there's a huge stigma for models and actors that people think we are conceited or full of ourselves or want all the attention. All of that, walking into a room like you are amazing, takes tremendous amount of inner work that people don't recognize. Okay, so we need to get a little bit more credit. When you act like that, then you believe it. You have to believe it first, and then others believe it and they can see it. So, whatever you think about yourself, if you're nervous or you didn't do an energy scan before you walk into a room and you walk in and you're kind of like, they're not going to book you because they're looking for that larger than life energy, that presence, that undeniable, captivating presence. That's kind of what we're here to evolve into in our best state, right? And it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, but these are things that I've learned in my career that have helped me have a sustainable career, along with not giving up. And a lot of people say that, don't give up, don't give up, but truly, literally, don't give up because there is a place for you in this industry. You might not fit into a box, but there is a place, there is a role, there is a casting director that is going to see your potential, and they're going to be inspired by you, and they're going to want to put you in their project. Sustaining habits that get you closer to the best version of yourself. These are all mental and physical habits. Drinking water, taking care of yourself, reading about the industry, staying engaged, all of that. However you see the best version of yourself, figure out what habits are going to get you there and then try to sustain them. And then my favorite on the list is love who you are now while working for who you want to become. It's very simple. You might see where you are now and only keep thinking about where you want to be and let that space in between discourage you from having the utmost appreciation and gratitude for where you are right now. This is the best place for you guys to be, is right at the beginning, fighting for your place, learning about the industry. I think about when I first started, I considered myself like a sponge. where I was just soaking up all of the information and it was overwhelming at times. There was industry lingo I didn't know. Comparison was like the driving force of all of my self-doubt because I would go to these castings and see like 20 other beautiful girls. But anyway, it's a journey. This workshop is so important because I feel like every time I teach it, I really need to hear all of this as well. So you can find this offered again and again and come back as many times as you need. I'm going to give you guys my email, my Instagram. I'm going to offer, if you guys want to work with me, I am a model mentor, a coach. But I want to leave you with this. Never tell yourself you're too old. Never tell yourself you missed your chance. Never tell yourself that you aren't good enough. You can do it. The bottom line is keep showing up. So this is the brand that I'm creating. It's called Not Your Average Model. I'm sharing tons of tips, tricks, inspiration. My goal is to have everybody walk into a room with presence, mastering their energy, defining their own unique definition of confidence and how to channel it to be camera ready, and just having you guys feel like absolute professionals and master your craft. So that is my mission to work with all aspiring and beginners in this industry. I've been doing it for 10 years. There's a lot of work to be done, and I want to help people do it before they decide to give up because, hello, tons of times I almost gave up, but I'm so excited that we got to spend this last hour. I just realized on my schedule, I'm offering this class again. Oopsie, 2 times in a row, but I'll be back doing this on August 6th. But if you guys want to join me on August 8th during the day, it's a Saturday. It's the mindset shifts, 10 mindset shifts for a sustainable career. That one's a powerful workshop. And then Monday night, when I get back from my shoe, I'll have all the updates for you guys about how it went. But that is another popular workshop. It's going to be later in the night on a Monday, but it's booked and ready. It's all about preparation for your first day on set because there's nothing worse than going to all these castings and submitting and then finding out you booked a job and then having no idea how to prepare or what to expect. So, hello, I'm here for you. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I have a workshop on self-tapes and digitals, and that's going to be the following week on the 18th. That's a Tuesday night. So keep a lookout for my workshops. I'm here about 4 times a month, but if you guys need me, you could find me on these avenues here. You can book a call with me. I'd be excited to help you guys out. But I just want to wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your presence. And if there are no other questions, I will let you guys go, and we will meet again. Do we have any questions, guys? I hope you guys got a lot out of tonight's workshop. And I don't see, oh, there's my girl, Tiffany. You're very welcome, girl. I got your back. And I hope you guys are all feeling really inspired. Audra, you're welcome. Thank you guys. Marianne, you're welcome. And as always, my greatest honor to be here with you guys. I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I really hope that we can connect again in the future. Have a wonderful evening and keep showing up and don't give up on your dreams. You could do it. Bye, guys.